Agree with Alan Greenspan, we ought to just eliminate the debt ceiling. Oh, absolutely, we do.
The ability of almost every working American to access more credit than they should have been able to masked the underlying fact that lower and middle class incomes were not rising.
That's not a tenable strategy. Isn't now the time to eliminate it? Oh, it would have been time a long time ago.
Let's put aside terrorism. Let's talk only about our own homegrown animals that are patrolling America right now. So it goes down to the simplest thing. Be prepared, be vigilant.
So I have to open the show up with a little homage to a clip that I looked at yesterday. It's Sunday morning. Last night, Saturday night, I stayed up late, got some work done, watched a movie, and I was also scrolling through Twitter, and I saw a little clip from Jocko Willink, at Jocko Willink, at Twitter. If you're interested in following, you can find him. Navy SEAL, certifiable, badass dude, right? Monster. And he had a little section on there about working out harder on Saturday and Sunday than you do all week. And I kind of liked it. He was standing there. It was just his face in the clip, and it was him saying, basically getting around that fact. People ask him why he doesn't take Sunday off, and he's saying, I don't take Sunday off, I don't take Saturday off. In fact, I go even harder on those 2 days. I like that, because a lot of times that's when I do my best work in the gym myself on Saturday and Sunday, because I'm not tethered to anything else. It's a day off in most cases. So in an ode to Jocko Willink, a guy who I've really come to like, a guy who has made it, in my opinion, right? He's got a great podcast. You can download it all over the place. It's called Jocko Podcast. I think he's got a book or several books coming out. It's good dude. Fought for the country, Navy SEAL, fought in Ramadi, and things are working out for him, and that's always good to see. It's always nice to see when things work out for a good guy. So this morning I have an opportunity, right? I'm headed to the gym. One of my sons is sick, so we can't all go as a family. And I thought, rather than ride alone in silence, which I probably need, I thought we could have a little chat. I thought we could talk about the condition of the world and the condition of the mind and the condition of America and the condition of the condition. That is liberty, freedom. Because there is a lot happening. And while the local news may not make it such a big deal, I think the biggest news of the weekend is going to be how this election plays out in France. Right? How this election plays out in France. Our president came out and said that whoever's toughest on radical Islam and borders is going to come out, or is going to do well. He kind of mentioned that that's the trend, right? That's the trend. You saw it in our own election. You saw it in Brexit. You saw it. You're going to see it in France. Mark my words. Mark my words, okay? The people in France, I think they're done. I think they've had it. Their ability, right? Their ability to tolerate has come to an end, I think. And that's even the most liberal person, even the most progressive person can only take so much death. There's only so much death. And when a cop is assassinated in the greatest city in your nation by a radical Muslim, just days before the election, it has to affect the ballot. It has to affect what ballot you put in the envelope. And the kicker is you can't even measure that effect. You can't measure that effect. There's no poll that can measure that effect that fast. Things change quickly. Now, what else I read this morning that was interesting is that when the French go to their polling system today, they do paper ballots. Fine. But what they'll find on their ballot is 11 candidates. They're going to have 11 candidates to vote for. How can you sit here and tell me that our system is not is working properly? I mean, I'd have been happy with 5, 6 candidates. What do we have, 4? I think when we went to the polls, we had 4 candidates, right? These guys have 11. These guys have 11 candidates. And to be honest with you, let's be real. We had 4 or 5 candidates, but there was only 2 that were going to make it, right? Even if you voted Libertarian, even if we all voted Libertarian, it wouldn't really have worked, I don't think. Or maybe it would have, and I don't know if it would have been the best bet. I don't know how great a president Gary Johnson would have been. But that said, they're going to the polls, I think basically as we speak, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe tonight or tomorrow. I don't know the whole rundown of exactly the timing. But I know that to me it's one of the biggest stories of the weekend because it speaks to the issue of tolerance and reasonable tolerance. And I think that's the combination of words that we need to look at a little more closely. You know, when you say the word tolerance, it's used to back people into a corner. You know, you need to be more tolerant of the people running around shooting and raping in your city. I think the word that needs to be used going forward, now that the gates to hell have been opened, is reasonable tolerance. No. It's not about me being tolerant of everything and anything that steps into my country. No. That's wrong. You're wrong. Just because they don't look like me, don't speak English, don't talk like me, don't act like me, doesn't mean that I need to bow down, get on my knees. Welcome to America. Please take whatever you like and do whatever you like, and I will just sit over here and be very tolerant. No. That's not it. That's not what this is about. I say today, starting with this show and going forward, we need to shift out the word tolerance for reasonable tolerance in immigration. Period. Right? Reasonable tolerance. Because reasonable tolerance adds a caveat. You're not going to shoot people. You're not going to rape women. You're not going to suck the government dole dry and do nothing and contribute nothing to the society. And you're not going to move into a country and proclaim how much you hate it and how much you want to change it. And you might say, well, James, that's mighty nationalistic of you. You might just be a Nazi. Far from it, my friends. Far from it. Okay? If you don't know that by now, you probably shouldn't listen to the show. If anything I've said has made you twist your head to one side or the other and you think, well, I don't know if James is right. I don't know if he's talking correctly. I don't know if he's I don't know if it's Sunday. He hasn't had his coffee yet. I don't know what the deal is. If you don't know me by now, you'll never know me. Okay? So turn the show off. Go watch somebody who's a little more lightweight, and I don't know what to tell you. This is the reality. This is worldwide reality right now. We're about to see Brexit Part 2 in France. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't go that way. Right? If Marine Le Pen doesn't make it through just on the fact that there are Muslim immigrants running around the streets of Paris assaulting and killing people, then what do you say about the people of France? I don't know. I don't know what you say. I mean, we're so far out on a damn limb with Donald Trump just to get some security and protection is unbelievable, right? Just to have some reasonable tolerance instated in our nation. That we voted in Donald Trump. Not to mention that we were faced with a choice that was about 30 times worse, right? The idea that, okay, I'm going to put Hillary Clinton in office. I'm going to take the biggest criminal in one of the biggest crime organizations of my lifetime. I didn't live through the Cosa Nostra. I'm a young man. One of the biggest crime organizations in my lifetime. Right? The Clinton crime family. I'm going to put that at the head of my country. Get out of here. Come on, man. You got to be crazy. But it's almost, when you look at it on the face of it, right? You say, well, the Muslims are bad and they shouldn't have, they blah, 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 whatever. You would like to place the blame primarily and squarely on the Muslims, right? The radical Muslims getting moved into these countries and killing people. But there is another monster in this thing that nobody really nobody really talks about as much. See, immigration was hijacked by the progressive movement And they were given free range in Europe and in America. And they were making too many decisions with their heart and not enough with their head. And that's exactly what happened in all around the world. All around the world, immigrants were flooded in with no plans for anything. Let's get them, put them up in a house, give them food, stamps, would be good. That was the game plan. There were meetings about it, I'm sure, but that was literally the game plan. There's no getting around that. Bring them in, we'll put them somewhere, get them fed, try to get them jobs. They can't speak the language, so I don't know how that's going to work. We'll figure it out. But right now, we need to do something with them, and what we're going to do is flood them into our nation. And it was this terribly unprepared approach that unfortunately now has put a lot of Muslims in the crosshair that otherwise shouldn't be. You get that, right? That's the underlying story of the big story. It's that the progressives may have taken a large swath of Muslims and moved them out of the crosshairs of dropping bombs, right? They moved them out of the crosshairs of civil war. But the progressive folk, in an effort to see their names in print, in an effort to hear the applaud, the thunderous applaud for their actions from the Peace Corps and from the European Union and NATO, what they did is they invited people who are culturally just not able to assimilate right away into a nation where the laws work against them, the culture works against them, and of course their culture is it's defunct, it's horrible, it's terrible, it needs to change, they need to get with the times. But at the same time, you have to understand